mo dikhoshing tse di re thuse re tsena ka malapeng re botsise dipotso bana ba rute research ba inyakisise mme ba sebetsa tatsi he letlhabe o fetse matlakala o tle dio tsotsotse o letile ntse la modimo le ho fang ka tje mesebetsing ya hao ka re rona ne re tsusiwa ka bo 4 o'clock o tsatsi he letlhaba tshwantse bo fedile o kolmaka ka re modimo ha nya ke tshila ha tisa mesebetsi ya hae o tshwantse a fukane le tse le sekolo biano o tla khona ho ya mohela mme mesebetsi eo iske abana ba mesebetsi fe e bana le seriti sa le ka tjatsi le o le bona ka rile eng mo lefatsheng a re ka se bona le tjatsi le tlhabi le tlhaba hele ka tjatsi le la boraro ka se bona la boraro la bone le le fitlela o bona la bone le na mofuta o mo le yona o tshwantsho sebeletse bontate le bomme a re emeng ka memele bana ba rona ha ra tshwana o tsa ngwana re o mo file go ha re morerere wena o tshwantsho tsetseng tsa le dithuto ka malapeng ke tsona tse tshwantsho ka ditso tse di tshwanang thuto tse di rutiwang go malapeng a mang go sa ka ngwana ka molapeng go no tshwana le gore ha o morate ngwana ka re se dituleng se utlwisitse ke ngwana ho sa nyake ngwana go rata se mo isa e be bona ba mmele ha mara o ntse o le motswadi o moratile ho mmele bothata ke hore latlhehi tso tlheletse o tsa go latlheha na le ba ba ka kgonang hore parolla tsamo tseleng ya go latlheha mira kona o phologa o ke leng teng e dumatha gore nka fumana e fihlile ko hae tswa mapetseng e sebetsa le batho le bana o tso tlheletse go kopane ke tlhele re ha di mase bitswang phathi le mesebetsi ya re na bo go ba di endele thuto tseo go sa ngwana ke wa motho ngwana ke o ya modi e tse mo wena ai hane go rutiwa ke motho ibile go rutiwa ke batho ba bantši ya lwelwa le bana anno e dile diphoso o teiwa ke mme wa go ntle o fitla ka mo hae o lla ga go te ha shinga o putsisi o lelang ola ha tla a to polela ola sa tsa go teile hape go ne re le di toys ba ke la ba hela se ya mo ya mohetse ene hore ba re janong ka tshekole o tile melao e re sa e tlhalohanye mara fela melao e a ke khona gore ka fenya motswadi wa beleng ngwana ha rata ngwana wa hae a ka tla bona sase a ke khone gore melao e ka fenya ba bele be a mo o tswa a re se motswadi melao ya bana e tswa melao ya motswadi e rutilwe ke ba bagolo
Mangwane ra leboga
a re tseng fago re thuse re bona e ka tšatši le la ba re ke heritage day ra tshwanela ke go itekola gore re sentse mo kae ko mora re sentse eng ka gore ke heritage re sentse eng ko morago re ka kgona go nopa eng se se ka re thusang ke moha se re se sentseng kgona go tswala tshenyo heritage day e re sebetsa ka manoko re bate kgopele modimo batho ba kalene ba sa tshabe gore go na le dio tse di bitswang dimphoko re futswa naga e re tse di bidi tsa le tsotlhe tseo a di tsogeng na letšatši le la heritage day e re hopotse ka nnete ba kgale e nne le botlame go tshwereng phoko ka tšatši le bo go fokwa motse lefatshe le go fokiwa gore mewa e mebe tswaya sa le ka mewa pila e tshwantse ka yona mme re nyake go ngwaga o tlang e be re bone gore setse eng segolo setse nna batswadi ba me a se ke ra lebelela batho ba tlang ko ntle na le tsa rena a re ipotseng gore mara batho ba tlhang ko ntle ba welang mo lefatsheng le tshwere eng ka mo matsogong a rena eng se re se tshwereng kgotsa ka mo moyeng wa meweng ya rena batho ba ka se kene ba tlo tlala mo lefatshe la sena so teng sone ipate re humile ga re ipone fela ga re ipone na le dijo tsa modimo tse batho ba ka di fumanang fela ga re ipone fela re bona ka batho he ba tla ka mo lefatsheng la rona ba tlo nyaka go ja rena mara re bolwa ke tlala ga re inyakisise ene bagolo ba boletse ba re motho ga a tla mo wena o sa mo tlhaloganye wena sebetsa o sebeletse modimo ka gore ke mpho e modimo a o fileng yona o sebetse gore motho o a batla le moge gore a ka o thusa bjang ka gore o tlisitswe ke tlala ga gona motho a ka no tlhašiana a tloga kwa gago go sena se se mo tshwetseng ka mo morago se mo tshwenya bjano ga a fumana wena o sa khuparela selo sa moya sa mesebetsi e ba mathata o a thoma gore o tlo ntseela mmereko o mo wena o mo mmung wa gago o mo o bopilwe ka mmereko o bopilwe ka dilo tse di seng teng mo bafatseng a mangwe rona re humile moya re humile letlalo la rona le editswe ka diamond and silver pele e tlo phatlhalla e ba di-mine ke he ba modimo a re bopa ka yona ke ka mokgwa o se se le se seng se motho a se irang a nyaka nna gore ke ete pele ke se bereke le ga sa mpatele mara nna sona ke kgona go se ntsha ka gore ke purua ka diamond e ke ngwana etso diamond e yaanong ke tshwanetse o ipelela gore nna ke sebetsa bjang gore ke le taamane ke sebetsa bjang ke le taamane ka thapelo ya modimo ke tlo e fumana mesebetsi eo ke tshwanetse gore taamane e ke le nna taamane ke lwe gore seriti sela sa taamane se be mo nna ke nna taamane gore dio tse go ka dinyakisisa ke wena taamane e o bopilwe ka yona ke modimo a bopile motho ka lerole la lefatshe ene lerole leo ba le kry-a mo wena mo lefatsheng la gago o bopile wena ka lona yaanong wena o a tshwanna o le batla o tshwanetse o nyakisise gore mara nka sebetsa bjang gore ba e bone ba mpone ke le yona taamane ka matsogo a ka mesebetsing e ke e sebetsang re feditse re le bana ba modimo bao re leng setshwantsho sa ba tlhokang mo ba leng mo ntle ke ka mokgwa o setshwantsho seo batho ba tlala ka mo ko re nka re makgowa ba kopane ka mo bjano go tlile maaforika a bo rona ao nna ke sa soleng ga a fitlha ka kwano ba tlo kopana le rona ka gore ne ntse re kgaolelane gore se ke ra bonana thuto e ke e fumaneng ke gore lentswe le la rata o heno bela ka go ithata ke le fumane mo bagolong ge ba re ga re na motlhofo wa motho o montsho ko o le mongwe re bana ba mpa a mosadi re belewe ke monna le mosadi mme re tsamaya re tlhakole yaanong re tsamaya re raragana maleme a raraganang a ke ka lebaka la gore modimo o nna re isa kwa ka bakeng la mesebetsi ya hae re ya kwa ka mesebetsi ya rona re ya kwa ka mesebetsi ya rona mme mo bofelelong maleme ale a fetoga ha a sa tshwana le ka mokgwa a re thomileng ka teng go re thomileng ka gore tlhako kgole bjane moafrika ke moafrika a ka se tsoga a tšhentšhile e le motho o mongwe rona a re kopaneng ka gore re ya kae go tloga moo re tseya eng ko morago sa mathomo ka gore o ka se fela o sa tshwara sa ko morago mme re kgone go thusana le bona batho ba ba borona ba ka gore ke lefatshe la rena ba le bitsang la borwa ba le bitsa South Africa mme ke lefatshe leo batho ba botlhe ba kopaneng ba mo lona le makgowa rena re reng go tloga moo ka gore ga ona ko re ka yang ka gore ba kopane mo rena ko gore go raya gore mo lewatleng mola ke metsotso e mebedi gore re wele ba botlhe ka mo lewatle ka mola ka gore he rena re sa eme ka maoto ra emela gore re nyake se re leng sone re mo bofelelong ba lefatshe mo re leng teng mo re mo thoko a lewatle ba tlile ba batlang go dimo kwa ba ba senang lewatle ba ba sa le itseng ba mo rena mo bjano thuso eo ya rona ya gore re nyake batho ba gore re ka ba thusa kae re ka thusana ka eng e tshwanetse go ba teng re rata re sa rate ke maAfrika ke makgowa ba kopaneng ga gona motlhofo o senteng wa lekgowa mo lefatsheng la rona mara ko mafatsheng a mang ba arogane ya ba gore o la o tsale mara mo rona mo ba kopane ba botlhe bjano go tlile maAfrika le bona ba kopane ba botlhe nke re utlwaneng ka taba e re nyakisise gore re a kae le yona re ira bjang ka yona ka gore go lwa le bona gona ke tshenyo ya nako a re ipatleng gore re tshwere eng ke eng se ba se boneng gore ba fitlhe
Mongwane ra leboga
o re file ra gore se se golo se a thopwa ene se nyaka gore se tle se batlisiswe ka tšatši le nna ke lefa le la gore a re batleng go tshwere eng modimo o re file eng ene re latlhe re kge ditšhila tse ba re tlisitseng tsone ka gobane ditšhila tseo di tlo ntshiwa ke sone selo seo se mafile na gore re kgone go phedisa tšhaba se batho ba ke baeng moeng ba re tla gaetsotse ka wena jaanong ke baeng ba ba tlileng gore rena re tlo ba fepa ka seo re se fepa ke moya le nama matsogo dilo tso tsotlhe tlo re ba fe mara ha di ka pele gore di fumane se se leng teng makgowa ba kopane mo basotho ba borona ba kopane mo south la bofelelo re wela ka mo lewatle le nyakisitse taba ya gore re tshwere eng potswa ke gore re tshwere eng tseo re tshwanetse gore re fepe tšhaba tse ka sone ga se setšhaba ke ditšhaba tse ka sone re le maAfrika a borwa a ko borwa maAfrika a ko borwa re eng ke eng bjanong gona bjanong re ka re re timetse re latlhegile a re fateng re epeng ke modimo kereke ke modimo ke matsogo a gago ke moya wa gago le nama ya gago ke kereke e ka mo wena mme ko ko nthutile gore ke aga ntlo mo wena ntlo e ka gore ntlo e yage e tie a ntelekisa ka nako e ntlo e hetile ke nyako e hole e tsamaye yo kopana le ditlo tse ding ko tšatši le tlhabang hela rena le wena ntlo tseo e tiile batho ba teng ba tiile ke nyako gore o sebetse le bona ile ko mafatsheng ago mesebetsi yotlhe ke e bone mara le go fitlha ko New York a gopola ko ke tswang gopola bana tšatši a ke gola go go sebetswa ko New York a ke ra go sebetswa go sena go e be ka gopola go kana ba nthutile gore ka nnete gona o mafatsheng wa o tlhaga ke a mara Europe ka fumana ke gopola setso sa etsho ke tsile ene ke tsile ka ho sebetsa le bona ka mokgwa o ileng go a nthuta ka teng a gore o sebetse le bona ka ya ho sebetsa le bona e batla ba thaba re ao wena o sebetsa bjanana a ba teng batho ba sebetsa bjanang ko South Africa ka re ba teng batho ba se ngana e le gore ke thabile ke gore ha o tlo bane le ke thabile go tshwana le ba state le ileng ka fumana mesebetsi e sentse e phela ya ka hele nna ke hore ke hotse ka yona ka fumana ke anya ya le mo e kopelang ke re re tshwere ma Africa a sao a borwa mo re tshwantseng hore re tsohe bosiu re sebetse re rapela Modimo a re fe seo re tshwantseng go fepa ka sona ka gore ba tlhakane mo go rona re se tshwere sona se teng fela re tshwantse go se keng re tlohele mphatshimane go ditopo a re phatlhala ba bona re moleleke re mo tla mo nna ka tlhaloganyo e tshwanetseng fela ha a sa tle ka tlhaloganyo e tshwanetseng molatlhe o mo go batho o rata mosebetsi o tla ipona le wena gore mane o tlo fetoga lefela ka gore o tlo mo tseya o fathile o phatlhotse boko go mo tseya fela ebile o phatlhoga go feta fao nna kelelo bjanong o tshabe motho ke phatshimane ko dikao o tshabe o nyake bophelo ba gago ha tlhaga o emele ko kgolo gore ke nyaka botlhokwa ka gore nna ke busy a re tšhentšheng re ilemeng re nyakeng ditemo re leme re tšetse le lentse matsogo a re e re re be tatile ka pulo le ke tati la pulo lentse le tele kgale la pulo o ba tsewa mabjalo a e le nako e mokgalate a nwang bjala ba sa nwe bjala nako e go a itšhina ka inago a monate ba buna seeleng sa bona ba sa bophelo ba rona re rata go fiwa dijo ka mo ganong mara go tla bjang gore re dumele go fiwa dijo ka mo ganong e le matsogo a rena a teng ke re sa tshabele dijo tse joshidi ke sa tane motho ga re dijoshidi ka mo ganong o sa di tsebeletsa di gane o tshabe itse gore o kopane le motho o sa tshwanelang ka gore motho o tshwanetse go ruta mosebetsi ya gore o sebeletsa dijo bjang o di itse o itse gore a re tlogeleng go laola ke motho a go fang ka letsogo ba re rutile gore Modimo ga a fe letsogo ke setso sa rena Modimo ga a fe letsogo
ra leboga nkgono Makgabo nkgono
ke tseo re di rutilweng ke thuto e kgolo ga fela le ka boela dianeng diane ithuta tsone diane ke Bible ya Seafrika ene ha di fapane le Bible ya Seafrika ha re ka ithuta diane ka tsona diane tseo di ngwadilwe ka mokgwa a maina ba bang o botsa ka bo Messi ba mara ka mokgwa wa diane ka maina ba
nkgono
motho mongwe ke sona se se re timeditseng
mme Makgabo
ra ruto ka maina a batho
mme Makgabo
kgale le motho ne le sa bolele
mme Makgabo
le befela le ba go botsa sekao ka gore motho o editseng mara ba sa o botse ina la hae
mme Makgabo e tshware fela mo mangwane o bua ka diane le maele. I think mme here he's talking about the power of proverbs. As we are posting mme because he has spoken lengthy and it was a wisdom, it was knowledge, we could not interrupt her. Ha mme a bua when an elderly woman or a senior citizen speaks, we must always give them respect. But overall, if you are not fluent with what she was saying. I will just try to summarize briefly. She has emphasized on what we have said, Ntate, about knowing ourselves, identity. He spoke about human dignity. She even spoke about the Western culture that has come in. And he said we must find ourselves, we must locate ourselves. We are lost somewhere. How? She went on to say all cultures are very good and culture can unify us. She went on to say research, as young people know where you come from. She further emphasized, parents, you are the first teachers of your children. If your child doesn't know the culture, there's nobody to blame. You can't blame education department. You can't blame TV. It's you as a parent who must take that role. So Memo was emphasizing about how we were robbed. And I think one emphasis was that the role of the grandparents. She was raising even the issue of why are we finding ourselves in wars, in conflicts in this continent? Why are we having coronavirus? She's saying that even traveling Africa, going to Ghana, she has seen a lot that people, they don't understand this African continent. But I think Mehape emphasized, like I said earlier, when we had a glitch, she was emphasizing on the role of traditional leaders. Role ya makhosi, ya dikhosi, khosigadi, oko. Abokumkani, ukuthi babe khona, bas lead on issues tsa land, lefatshe, are go botlhokwa. The issue of knowing ourselves. But let me pause there and open this floor now for all of you who are listening to both Father Smangaliso Mkhatshwa, Limme Makhabo. Unfortunately, we are not able to connect with Re Serote because he's in KwaZulu-Natal engaged on another event. So I will open the floor and I will ask the mics if, we do have a roving mic from this side. I will take questions from both sides, from my right hand to my middle and to my left. Can we take questions, comments? What have you picked up? What is your takeaway? What have you learned from so far since this morning we are talking about cultural heritage, intangible heritage? I think Father Wileka Ishwakore, our heritage can be music and dance and food, but there is something beyond it. There is something. Melene Wileka let's locate ourselves, let's search for ourselves. And then language, let us be proud of our languages. To suit other nations, but we are a nation that is brave, that is proud, that is coming from far. And the people who are infiltrating our cultures, that we should be careful of them. People who are feeding us, who are giving us food, we must ask them, where is this food coming from? And we must be very questioning, we must ask always. But let me take hands, if there are hands. And please, if you speak, just give us your name. I've got a hand at the back. This side of my right hand, is there any person who wants to comment on my right hand? The middle lane, the left lane. Please, Kupali Buem, because it's not Nale Refalam Culturally Memakhav, who are the main speakers here. You are part of the dialogue. Butuame, you can just share with us what you want to raise.
Dumela le kae?
Dumela tata.
Ke Richard Mokwena. Ke a leboha ka platform e ke kreyang. On the very same important thing that I always speak of every day. Knowing who we are is the only way. Now, we as Africans, we have to know who we are. We are not determined by a piece of paper. You understand that? We are not determined by a piece of paper. But the true identity, who we are within, it is actually who we are to our purpose of why we are living. So, I am emphasizing on identity. since the realization of knowing how important it is to know who you are, I've realized that we've been fed what is wrong, losing ourselves, or forgetting who we are actually. At this point in time, if you lack confidence within you, you're not going anywhere. These are very people we have to actually give honor to.
Sure.
Because they know much, but they do not have a piece of paper. For me to come here today, I want to confess it. I felt it is a day that the world should know why we are here. We are here to live legacies, not legacy. Legacies, we should not worship somebody. We should say, yeah, I've done my part. Why I am here, I've fulfilled it. It is now. Now, what I'm saying more in emphasizing the truth, importance of identity. I have come here to submit economic model, educational model, and tree of life. Township rural economic empowerment. Those are the only remedy, only remedy for the whole wide world. And I'm confident, and I'm not doubting it, because no one thinks like I think. And if I can do it, you can do it because you are you. So the elders who are part of this, please hear the word. It has come. Take it into consideration. Mr. President pushed it away, but this is now in front of you. Give it an ear. Do with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. I think what Richard is emphasizing, the rural, urban, creative economy, even on issues of culture. It is important that we document our heritage sites, we document our crafts, and there is value on them. I think that's one aspect. We thought culture is all about festival and music and people eating, but it's a creative economy. And you can't talk about integrated development plan when you don't have a rural development plan. Now lately they are talking district model, they are talking master plans. Where do we put culture? Where is culture as a master plan? Where is heritage? What are languages? If you look at radio and media, the music they are playing, it doesn't sound our language in most instances. And I think that's where we should. Can I take another hand from here, from this side, both sister? Okay, can you take at the back and I'll come at the front, and even this side. And you can speak in your own language. You are not forced to do it.
Okay, Dumelang. Ke nna Tshofatso Matsepe. Oh, well, as I was listening to Ntatemoholo le Mama, I was also looking at the quote that was given. Being weak is a choice, so is being strong. So this quote is very relevant to what Mama le Ntatemoholo bana e bua of being unique. One thing I liked, they kept on using the word we.
Yeah.
Which symbolized that we are unique. So we are unique in a diversity. And it's something that we, the younger generation, are failing to see, that diversity is beautiful. Culture is a beautiful thing. It is our identity. It gives us identity. And in South Africa, being a country with different cultures, the diversity makes it interesting. So it is about time we, the youth, try and embrace our culture more. So I would like to thank Nkgono le Ntatemoholo Barofa, a very, very nice speech today. Thank you.
Raleboga. Can I get a hand from this side and from this side, because sister was just in the center. You know, can I get the hand from this side and this side, and I'll give the elders. Yeah, there's a hand here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adibao Razumisan. Adibao Razumisan. Adibao.
Oh. Yeah.
I would like to thank Mama and Tata. Well, I have a question of you guys keep on saying we should embrace our cultures and all that. And from where we stand, we come from home, from our villages. We come to town to become better. And I feel like our government fails us because, like Tata said, we take the European culture and we embrace on that. Why is it that the government itself does not help us to embrace our culture? They give us only this day to embrace our culture. How do you learn something only in one day? Whereas the rest of the days, you learn with a European culture. Our history in primary schools, it's European. When you get to high school, it's European. If you ask someone, Wako High School, he's gonna tell you or she's gonna tell you about Hitler. Where is the Nelson Mandela we know from school? Why don't we learn about our cultures, our history in schools? Thank you very much.
There is a hand of another sister here. I will try to explain that this place where we are, there was a review of the South African history actually done by Professor Ndlovu, Sifiso Ndlovu. Rewriting of African history, South African history. I can tell you there are some strides around that route. And the issue that you raised of one day, I think Ntatona Bualeka Africa Day, Africa Day, we cannot reduce it to one day. But we must acknowledge, but for South Africa, we are the only country in the whole continent who do the whole month. We don't say one day. When you say Heritage Month, we say from 1st September until the last day. When you say the Youth Month, the Soweto Month, we do the whole month. When you say Africa Month, Father, I know that at the African Union, they will just celebrate Africa Day 25 May only. But we in this country, we have committed, we have dedicated funds and budgets. The only problem is, do we put money into where it is correctly must go to? Because even when we do Heritage Day, do we put money into heritage cultural studies? Do we empower crafters? Do we empower artists? You know, beyond the tourists and the people who are touring, are we even touring our own country now? And do we even know this place that you can go here without paying today? That there's a free tour at the heritage site. So I think those are the issues that are even challenging us, and why the budget of arts and culture is so low. Why is it so low? And that's why we need to build a national consciousness. But I guess the sister, the Speaker of Parliament,
Dumelang, ke nna Sabatha Matlone. I just want to comment on something. Re bone bana, I'm from Salvakop. Ke dula mo Salvakop, ne?
The youth ambassador.
Yes.
Salvakop. Ke mo fela ha o tsena ka Freedom Park.
So re bone bana from outside Salvakop ba perform in different cultural outfits. And from my point, it is embarrassing. Where Freedom Park is within Salvakop, there are many kids in Salvakop. Why is Freedom Park not taking the initiative to introduce culture mo baneng ba Salvakop, so that when we have such events, at least bana ba Salvakop, as the ambassador, I'm an ambassador of Freedom Park, yet I don't even have anything to showcase on behalf of Freedom Park. So Freedom Park also needs to start initiative into empowering culture within Salvakop, so that we also have performances from Salvakop kids as we are ambassadors of Freedom Park. Thank you.
I hope that when Naomi, when it comes to do vote of thanks, will have listened, he will have taken cognizance. If O's Jane I hope you will have taken commitment maybe out of this. But Salvakop, we need to integrate them. But remember that Freedom Park as well, being the national shrine, the whole South Africa can claim Freedom Park, actually, through the stones that are at SVVAN, because there's a stone of every province. Even Salvakop stone is somewhere, and it is in the mind of the young people. There is a hand here. Yeah, Putom, Sabo.
Yeah, I'll just speak Afrikaans for a little bit.
Sure.
Goeiemiddag. So I've been sitting and I've been listening about identity and you know culture and all of that. Now I speak Afrikaans, and as you can all see, I'm a very handsome black man. Now I'm from Kimberley,
Yeah, Khalishiwe.
and yes, Khalishiwe. And coming to Pretoria, when people address me, they address me as a black man.
Sure.
Dumelang, Ashe,
Yeah.
all those languages, until I start talking back. And then they hear the accent is totally different.
Sure.
Now then people ask, are you black? Are you colored?
Sure, sure.
Some might say I've got an identity crisis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I don't have an identity crisis.
Sure,
As much as I'm a Tswana boy, but I was raised colored.
sure, sure.
So I identify as a colored. But just for joke's sake, I decided to just create my own race.
Yeah.
Because I was tired of the questions.
Yeah.
Black or colored. So I became a black colored.
A black color. Yeah.
Yes, I became a black colored. That's just a joke. Now, Adevawa here raised something. And about cultures in our schools. I'm from the old education system where you learned about Napoleon and Vasco da Gama, Bartolomeus Diaz, all those guys. And in history books, you find a little bit of Shaka Zulu,
Yeah, yeah.
a little bit of Dingizwayo.
So, yeah. Mushwe, shwe.
Was the Prince Harry, the strandloper?
Yeah,
As it Atomautu,
Yeah.
his Khoisan name.
yeah.
But you really read about our people. You know, there's Hendrik Waterboer.
Yeah,
He was an educator. He was Griqua.
yeah.
But we don't learn about these things.
Yeah.
How will the Griqua children, the Khoisan children, they don't know about these people. And, you know, because we all we learn
Yeah.
is Vasco da Gama sailed around this point of the Cape. Jan van Riebeeck came here. He did 1, 2, 3. The reason why why young people today don't know is because our educations, you know, and some of our elders, you know, I think they've been so, let me say, just brainwashed. Because, you know, they are not in a position to pass down the knowledge from their forefathers to us, and then we pass it down to the rest. That's all I wanted to say. I don't have an identity crisis.
Sure.
I'm an African.
Siyabonga. Siyabonga, Mafrika. And I think what you are saying is the same applies to the facilitator too. When they see me, whenever I do travel, I speak different languages. But they have already defined me from Ethiopia or Somalia, or I'm a colored, you know. And the word colored, I want to assure you, as a person who have done law, that word doesn't exist. It was an apartheid wording in the 1950 Population Register Act. And when you go to the definition of colored, you say you are neither black nor white. So who you are, Omang, Kwenamang, Ubad, you know, if you can ask that question. So if you are talking about the issue of identity crisis that we are finding ourselves, one can say that it is amongst the young people of today that the fourth industrial revolution, the phones, the Facebook, the Twitters that you are on, you sometimes lose your culture there. All the way, Monday to Sunday. And those who are speaking your language in those links, you don't want to become part of his friendship because he's not speaking your language. And the issue that you raise of the colored identity, I think it is not identity. It is the Khoi and the San, the Nama, the Klu, the Kwe, the Korana, the Griqua. These are the indigenous people that we have failed. Our motto in this country, unity in our diversity. But we hardly on our celebrations have the Khoi and the San. Messara Bartman was dehumanized by the West by putting the body of a black woman into the museum. So those are the things that you have to think deeply when you think of the Khoi and the San. That there is no word called colored. O ka nna re Lindwe Sisulu ke a colored. She's not. There were many of children who were born and they were told that you are the son of a bastard. That is not correct. Our culture doesn't say, like Manabua, it takes the village to raise the child. Ngwana ke wa motse. Ha se wa mo strateng, o buile ka di old age. Are where na le di old age? Le bo di street kid. Ore ngwana ke ngwana wa mo strateng. How can ngwana nna wa mo strateng when re na le botho, re na le setso? There was a hand at the back and I will be taking the last two hands so that I give our panelists to say something. We have the two back benchers at the back. Is there anybody here who wants to raise a hand before I can close? And then allow our panelists to can share their comments. Is there anybody here, sisters? Because I've got two brothers at the back. The back benchers. If you are in the parliament, we said it is the back benchers who are the fire starters, you know. Is there anyone here, both sister? Okay, we have 3 speakers, and from there I'll be taking to the panelists, and we're about to close. I will have loved to, but I give a brother, and then sister, you will close.
Dumela. Nakalina ke tlhono shopping. Ke namane ya tholo motho wa mogogoro wa losho motho wa gogomela. Puo ya me ke Setswana. Re ntse re tla re bua ka setso. Kgotsa botso yona ngwao e ka leleme la seng re bitsang re ke culture. Ke eleletswe gore ka gantsi re latlhagelwa ke setso sa rona ka gonne re latlhagetswe ke puo ya rona. Oh, askis. Ke eleletswe gore re latlhagelwa ke setso sa rona ka gonne re latlhagetswe ke puo ya rona. Mo ileng gore ha re e tlhamaletseng re be re khone go wetsa ntlha e re batlang go e beya mo pele ga batho re sa adimi puo ya seeng. Re ntse ha ntse re culture ya rona mare ke ngwao ya rona ga se culture ke ngwao ya rona. So dilo tse di ntseng yalo ke tsona tse di tsweletsang tatlhego ya botso ba rona le puo ya rona jaaka ma Africa. And ka go re heletsa re na le dilo tse di tshwana go te go di traditional wedding le bo di white wedding mo ileng gore traditional wedding ke lenyalo le lone le ba reng ke white wedding ke tradition ya batho bao ba tswang kwa ba tlileng ka dikepe ha se ya rona. So ha re ka simolla pele ra busa puo ya rona re busetsa gae mo baneng ba rona kona ha re tswa gona nonyana o tsena o tsamaya go molong o kopana le bana Daddy, I want yogurt. And then re be re ngwana o rutegile go itse puo ya motho o mong a se go rutega ga kalo mare gore o itse go bua ka puo ya ga go tlhamaletse ka yona le gore o kgone go bua puo ya motho o mong o tlhamalele ka yona ke yona thutego eo. Thutego ga se ga kalo gore o kgona go bua sekgowa o tlhamaletse ga kae. Ke utlwile o bua ntlha ya gore o na le botswa morago ba molao. Go na le mo ba buang teng mo bolaong mo ba re language I get like le nna ke adime go tswa go seng. But language carries within it the culture of the people who speak it. Ha ke tla ke gola motho o na tla le mogolo mo go nna go no sa tike thabo go tike o buti thabo kgotsa mogolo thabo hela ha ke tla ke bua ke re ka English it's thabo e heletse teng ko le tlhompho kgotsa tlotlo ya rona e tswa gore o na le nako e kae o tshetseng mo lehatsheng ka gore reng o tshwanetse go tlotla botlhogoputso hela ka gonne re simolotse go bua puo ya kontle English mo gare ga yona ga ena yona matla ao semelo sa yona ga sena matla ao a gore e ka tshwara puo ya rona. So ke bona re a re ke se ka tsamaisana go thata e re ke tla e wetsa teng mo marege ke ne ke re a ke e wetsa ke re puo ya rona a re buseng dipuo tsa rona Movenda, Mozulu, Motswana le tse ba di gateletseng tse le tse di sa tlhageleng tse go teng a ke re na le tse 11 re na le bo Selobedu jalo a di bua dipuo tsa rona re bueleng go sekolo ke a leboga.
Ke a leboga re ka fa o mong ko morago nka se mo interprete ka Setswana to English gore na re me. In short, I think I was saying culture is the carrier of the language. Language is the carrier of culture, actually. ha bua gore puo e botlhokwa ka mo setsong sa rona. Language is very critical in our culture, and the young people as well. Respect, I think that's the same principle ya setso ya gore re nne le tlhompho. My brother, there is a mic there, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Luko Nyateane. From what I've been listening to today's talk, it's more about identity. And when I think about it, it's like identity has to do with your culture, culture has to do with your tradition, tradition has to do with your language. And in South Africa, we are divided different languages. And when I look, it's like we are more into Englishman's language, whether I like it or not. Like, for example, when I was driving in through the gate in the morning, I greet the lady there by the gate and I'm saying, Abshen, she's like, hey, what? The lady, she's black. So you can just imagine. So my question is, I just want to take it further from what I was saying. What is it that we can do as black people to embrace our languages more? If I say to you, Abshen, you respond in your language, in your Venda or in your Zulu.
Sure.
Because I see most of Asian countries, like your Chinese, Japanese, they are doing best in everything because they are embracing their languages. They learn science, mathematics in English, and I understand that as black people, if we were to learn your mathematics, your everything in our languages, we'll excel in everything. But we have to take it in English, digest it in our mind, then you try to understand it. And it's difficult if you have to translate it into your head. So I would like to ask the elders, what is it that we can do as black people to embrace our languages more and try to learn everything in our languages? And if I greet someone in my language, they'll be able to
relate, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Raleboga, my brother, I think what you are raising is very critical, multilingualism, the role of languages, and if you were aware, this week you saw the judgment of UNISA, that UNISA, we are forced now as an institution of higher learning to can provide Afrikaans and English, but Afrikaans mostly. But since I'm working at UNISA, we have been pursuing even African languages. For Banabaruna Habakwala, the exam, the question paper cannot only be in English and Afrikaans only. You need to cover other languages. PANSALP, the Pan-African Language Board, has to develop languages. Cultural Commission must promote, protect our languages. The problem in this country is that we had many institutions, fragmentation, duplication of mandates, wasteful expenditure of doing campaigns like Ubuaka language, and to greet as well. When you greet somebody in different languages, you feel something from that greeting because you are trying to even locate somebody. You are not just talking to somebody, I want to sani bonan, auru saubon, auru dumela, wari dumelang. You are greeting in plural, you are not greeting a one person. And you are always locating. You always locate, and you always locate yourself in that greeting. So I think that's how people must understand Hurutu Mediso. That's why they say we can greet you the whole day because I don't eat the greetings. Just to check Waramuto, is he alive now? And you are not greeting me alone, you even greet the whole family members. My sister, you are the last speaker, and then I'll be giving it back to the panel. Or there is another one, and then I'll be taking the sister. This is the third hand that was smuggled, this one. Eh? No Marzena Africa.
Okay.
Kupa ube short in Africa.
Abshin.
Abshin Africa.
Mijan. Ipetramina ni Nikel Sungwan. Advocates. Mantula. I think what is the core here?
Yeah. We
are in trouble as a what is the country it is shaping now in terms of the culture. We are losing the game. The organization like the former mayor Mkachwa, I think one thing they need to do now, I think it is the only organization now that needs to be expanded. Because if that organization, it can deal with the high moral ground
generation, yeah,
of us blacks, it means they have a duty to teach this country 12 official languages.
Correct, yeah.
Therefore, former mayor, I can tell you they can't give you budget, you know, you are a comrade. But the one thing we need to do, someone like Advocate Mantula, he is popular in terms of media and space and so forth. Can we link that kind of what you have with him so the South African population, they can know that kind of organization? We need it. It's too hidden. It's very scarce to hear that there is this kind of organization. What we have in this country is the lobby groups, and there's some foundation. They make noise in the space up until we have the judgment you are referring on of Africans.
Yeah, Africans, yeah.
Who are the benefits? Who is benefiting there? Lobby groups, foundation, the judgment of Africans. Me and you, Mr. Mayor, we benefit nothing on that space. They are fighting their separate battle. We need that organization to us as the youth of this country and a black child. So the issue of the culture, it can be solved. Thank you very much.
My sister,
Ninhlekani. My name is Grendi Mukondo. What I wanted to talk about is teachable moments. Like, as much as my fellow brother Oscar said that we wait for schools to teach our kids about history and things like that, but if a child does not know and you know a bit or you can do your research, is that you can go, like, sorry, you can tell that child, well, I don't know about this, let me go find out, and then I'll come back to you, instead of saying that you rely on teachers to teach your children for you. And also with us youth, we should be allowed to be taught by our elders about our culture, because now that it's 50-50 in most of the things that in relationships or in other things that a woman, I go to work and things like that. I go to work and my partner goes to work. But our culture comes back and tells us, no, it's not supposed to be like that. Like, it's a thing that, for me, if our elders teach us something, we should also be allowed to be taught, and you also teach your kids about certain things.
My sister, Father Mkachwa, I want you to come at the front to come and comment, respond to some of the comments. And just to remind one of the colleagues who spoke about working together with moral regeneration movement, that as well at Arts and Culture, I'm working on social cohesion project. Both projects have to be visible. I do agree that we have not been visible. Our culture has been going down day by day. And I think our culture, it is the way of life. Don't reduce culture to this day only for Heritage Day. Live your culture on a daily basis, wherever you go, whatever you do. Don't eat this food only today. Today. No. It's something that we should be doing from birth to marriage. You know, so I will assume, let's not reduce our culture. And even in our universities, in our schools, our African cultural studies are very low. Our passion of knowing African history is very low. I've done oral history competition. I've seen how young females are passionate about oral history than young males. That's one challenge I've seen. You go to the courts, to the moot court of young children, you find that the young girls are the ones who are passionate to debate, to engage. But the young males, they are lagging behind. And I think that's where we need to make them go parallel to understand the values of culture. For the culture, if you can come in, respond, and that will be your closing remarks as well. Because I'll be calling Mayor Naomi. And are we still having Mayor on the line? Okay, we don't have Mayor Baro Orobeti, Kenako Yabadiman, 1 not 12 for Yano. Father Mkachwa Kwena Oats on floor to just engage Libon. Jalabo.
Program Director, I'll try to be, not even to address all the issues that have been raised, which I think are very thought-provoking, very important. And dialogue does not always mean answering the questions. Sometimes it means raising questions and leaving the audience, individual and collection, to reflect on them. One, just a kind of a personal observation. When this lady was speaking, Makgabo, something that struck me was that, one, she looked so beautiful in her African dress, dignified, articulate in her language, and therefore having the ability to say exactly what is in her heart and how she understands the issues. That was just an observation. And therefore I asked myself, why must you want to go and dress like Mrs. Van Tonder or somebody else? Why can't she bring her children also to appreciate the way she's dressed up and the way she's going up? Now, I just want to make a remark that when we're talking about identity and culture, there isn't really a difference between me out there. The values, my cultural values and heritage, they make me who I am. What I eat, the way I pray, the way I think, the language I speak are all part of me. So that, in other words, we shouldn't really get the feeling that, okay, for instance, today we're discussing something called heritage out there. It's who you are in your daily life and daily interaction with the people. Something interesting about identity crisis. Actually, I've had this discussion before. I just want, because we have no time, but I just wanted to point out that one can point at certain examples, like Sophia Town, where Africans of different languages and so on, so-called colored Indians and even somewhat, they live together in harmony. They even develop a language of their own. So there wasn't, for instance, something that they regarded as a crisis at all. And therefore, when we, through the Department of Arts and Culture and so on, we promote, and the Moral Generation Movement, we promote social cohesion. That's part of our agenda. Now, something that has also struck me, and it's a question I have not been able to answer. How come that when white people of this country, I'm not worried about people in Europe and other countries, but in this country, who have been with us for over 350 years, we have lived together with sharp shoulders. When they take their children for baptism, I've never heard them go to this one, Uvuyo, or Dimakazo. It's a white name. How come that they don't, many of them don't bother to learn African languages? But they expect us to know their languages properly, proper grammar and everything else and so on. How come that even the curriculum in our schools that influence the thinking and the growth of our young people and future leaders, they are more relevant to Europe, United States, than in South Africa. Language, my brothers and sisters, is power. Because remember that, you see, it is through, when, for instance, I learn someone else's language, that means I have, scientifically, I have to learn the culture, the history of the people who speak that language. I have to almost learn a lot about their own culture and heritage. Because that's what language does, and it influences the way you see life, you see reality, and the power of language. So it's not just passing on information, but it also influences, your very being. And that's why, therefore, language is very important also in our culture. But it also scientifically, those of you who have done this, it has been proven that if you grow up speaking your mother tongue, and you have a very, very good understanding of your mother tongue, and you use it and appreciate it, it actually makes it easier, for young people and so on, to be able to learn other people's languages. So language should not be a divisive kind of instrument, but it should be one that helps us to communicate, to understand one another. Something interesting, in the United States of America, in the UNO, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Indians, you name them, Arabs, they've all insisted that when they address the assembly, it must be in their own languages. Come Africans. The Africans from Francophone Africa were colonized by the French. They speak in French. Come Africans who were colonized by the British, sikhuluma ngesingisi in the United Nations of America. So there must be something, the AU must begin to ask itself serious questions. Is there someone, for instance, even suggested that, well, maybe we might consider Swahili as, but some language that gives Africans a distinct voice in the United Nations of America. The others insist, my language, translate it, but I'm speaking my own language. And that gives them power and dignity. Almost done. History. I've always loved, I was speaking to my niece the other day, so she challenges me, says, Malum, but how come where we go to school, when we're talking about Ushaka, Gasenzangakhona, is usually either bluntly or somehow referred to as the black, bloodthirsty Shaka or Dingan. So there's something negative about the history that is taught in those schools. And the people that teach the history, remember, they have an influence on your thinking and behavior. And therefore, the question is, what happens to our kids that are sent to those schools? The science there might be very good and everything else, but the reality is that their outlook on life, their appreciation of life, their future vision is influenced by the kind of education that is given them. And it's also an open secret that nearly 90% of our children who come from very wealthy families or well-to-do families, they don't send their schools to the township schools. They are all sent there. And therefore, their education, their aspirations in life, their understanding of life is all influenced by that. How do you then expect us to transform our education in such a way that it actually empowers everybody? We have a long way to go. Finally, no, I just want to leave you this quotation, because now that means going forward. My brother, I don't know your name somewhere, but you said something about my movement, the MRM. Thank you very much for that, for that encouragement and that remark. We'll certainly continue doing what we can. Now, someone once said the following. Those that, it says there are four kinds of people. There are those that wonder at what is happening. those that wait for something to happen, it's just like us, for instance, we're all complaining about corruption in the country, people stealing money of the poor and all the rest of it, murders and so. We hope someone will do something about it. So we belong to the second category. The third one, there are those that complain about what is happening without doing anything. They complain and complain. Finally, those that make things to happen. And my hope and my prayer is that is particularly as young people, you have the opportunity to change the situation for the better so that the common good of all becomes supreme. That's another form of struggle because the people that benefit from the status quo are not simply just going to stand aside and say, okay, thank you very much, we were wrong, take over. You will have to do something yourself, of course, in a very proper way, in a dignified way, in a respectable way, but you have to work very hard to make sure that South Africa becomes what we all prayed it would become. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Ntate Mkhatshwa, I think one important aspect that you have said is to understand about what is currently happening, what is our role. But let me, when we close this program, remind you of one of our poets in this country, Don Matera. I look at Father Mkhatshwa Lemme Sibidwe, he won't be joining us, Nkhono Makgabo, who spoke eloquently. She was speaking from the heart. Abua le ka Setswana. There's a book I read, Don Matera, ya di poem. It's titled, They've Passed This Way and Touched Our Lives. So the elders who have come here, the youth, the minds that have been here talking, you have touched other people's lives. We have not yet internalized what Biko said when he said, black men, you are on your own. We have not internalized Bome Dorothy Masuku. When you see me like this, I will be like this until I die. Umbona Dinja, I will always be like this. So as Abantu Abamnyama, we have to always be proud because the pride, since we are pride, this I am black and I am proud. I say just a matter of color, but you must be proud of who you are on a daily basis. 365 days, 24 hours, 7 days a week. How about Vicky, ne Vicky, Bigly Biggy, Kohumaslatini, Lima Hotel Queens, and we have lost one of the members. Those were the carriers of culture through music. Bobra Jonas Gwangwa in the early years, Bome Miriam Makeba. Lucky Dube, there are many who are carrying our culture without any doubt. And that's why I think as the young people of today, let us be very helpful, be very welcoming and humble because the country needs the youth, Father, to lead this country. The youth cannot wait to say that they're leaders of tomorrow. They are the leaders of today. And we need cultural revolution. If there was a political revolution, and others are talking of economic revolution, but we need a cultural revolution. That's the last stage that Africans need to go through. Menaumi already. Menaumi is in the public relations here, Freedom Park. They are working as a team. Also Naomi Lane has been on radio at some point, but they are always having these dialogues. I've said to them, this intergenerational dialogue of Freedom Park, it has been their mark, their niche. How do they take it out to the schools, to the radio, so that the international dialogue doesn't happen physically because COVID-19 has closed us down. After Naomi, there's performance that will be closing this ceremony as we have started with a performance, and there will be an activity happening at the amphitheater, that site. And there are stalls for you to look and support, and there will be tour guides that I know that will be happening around Freedom Park. But Akifeme Naomi Hore Akharele, Hansi Barbare, the last person to speak is a king, but in this instance, the last person to speak is a queen. Dialogue.
ndi Masiari. I'm tempted ndikolingeya uamba nga Chivenḓa ngauri the issue of language was reiterated and I was very inspired. But anyway, my job is simple, and part of that simplicity, I must make sure that each and every individual who's seated here heard what I have said. So I'll quickly speak in English. I'm here to thank everyone who participated in the program. Usually, there's a tendency to forget the program director. So after what Advocate Mantula did, I don't want to find myself trapped in that situation. Let me just start with him. Advocate Mantula, you take us through such a vibrant discourse, and you interrogated the matter in such a way that at some point we did not want you to sit down. And for that, we thank you. You were like the young lions who are part and parcel of this discourse. To the interpreters, often we have a tendency to forget them as well. The lady who's just next to me, Pearl Mbolekwa, as well as her colleague, Chloe Tlalo. To you guys, the job that they are doing, it's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, you will recall when Obama was in South Africa, and we had sign language interpreters who could not do their job. I'm sure you remember the media challenge that was left in South Africa when that event passed. So these people are doing a wonderful job. And to some of our youngsters who are still going to university, perhaps you also need to know that this is a career that you can take. To you, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts as Freedom Park and everybody who's seated here today. Now let me thank Mr. Makura, who is acting CEO of Freedom Park, as well as the head, the HOD of Heritage and Knowledge. Mr. Makura, the welcome, I'm feeling at home. I'm just feeling at home. There are no butterflies, because that welcome was from a good heart. For that, we thank you very, very much. I was also inspired, Mr. Makura, when you talked about Charlotte Mateke, that for us as Freedom Park, it is not just about the wall of names. She has a special place here at Freedom Park to such an extent that she will go to a place called the Gallery of Leaders, where she will share a space with people like Che Guevara. Let me almost come to a close. To the cultural group, I'm sure some of you may have noticed that the cultural group that participated here, there was diversity at its best. There were Swati dancers there, there were Zulu dancers there, and I was amused, and I guess you too were amused, to the organizers of that dance, to you, Rialeboga, to Father Mkachwa. When Power FM, when we have made arrangements that Power FM will be part and parcel of this engagement, and I was asking that, he did mention that I was on radio for a little while before now. I was like to the producers, I don't know why Power FM would be here at Freedom Park and Father Mkachwa is in town and you don't talk to him. Even my colleague, Rogini Govender, she's our communications and marketing officer, and we were like, we just don't know. We just don't know why would a radio station, even if it's BBC, I'm lost for words, but that's exactly what we did to Power FM. We said, why would Power FM come here? and just interview Freedom Park staff and etc. And you know, we also have the tourism department partnering with us. And to them we say bravo, and we are grateful they are here. So me and Rogini were engaging these people. We were saying, yes, we see Freedom Park. Yes, we see the tourism department. But yes, you cannot be here as Power FM and 2 million people are listening to you and you don't talk to, I mean, it's not 2 million people who know Father Mkachwa. Anyway, it's not about Father Mkachwa. I just wanted to charm you as to how charmed me and Rogini were when we were told that Father Mkachwa is in town. Father Mkachwa, we thank you from the depth of our heart. I know if the CEO, May Jane Mufamadi, if she was here, she would have been as overwhelmed as Advocate was, as Ntate Makura was, as my colleague Rogini was. We were like humbled. To May Sibidi, yes, she was a beauty queen. You spot on, Father. Rocks, we talked about it. And she was chilled, she was Dwighty Kurinaike, and she talked about diamonds. And I looked at myself and I'm like, why didn't I knew about it that I'm diamond? Because she said, you are a diamond. And I'm like, and she is right, we are diamonds. Well, she talked about going back to the roots, and she also talked about, respecting our leader, our traditional leaders, because that's where our roots, come from. I really loved, I enjoyed what she was talking, and I loved that, Sipho Mantula was able to translate what she was saying, because really what she said was something else. It was just something else. And for that, we thank her sincerely. We need old people like her. South Africa needs people like her. To the young people who are here today, I just want to say South Africa will never lack in terms of future leaders. No. South Africa will not lack. To the organizers of this auspicious event, some of those are our colleagues, Magda Strydom and Mashadi Page. To you guys, I give you 10 out of 10. Father Mkachwa, for those intriguing closing remarks. You are a diamond. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Sister Naomi Rinolevua Kamanda Ralevuha. As we are closing, Ntate Tlou, you can come forth, and Father Mkachwa, they want to give you a book, which is the history of Freedom Park, actually. And to emphasize that we are not ending only today. The Heritage Month ends on the 30th of September. So let's not end today of celebrating our diversity. And I think the issue of integration of Salvacop youth, it will be taken into account. How do we involve the young people of Salvacop? Because they are part of history as well. Because they are just here. And even other youth of other provinces, they must feel ownership of Freedom Park. Dr. Tlou?
Thobela, I just want to hand over these books about Freedom Park as a token of appreciation to our panelists. I think, Advocate, you said you already have a copy. Yeah, so we will hand over a copy to Father Mkachwa for sharing his own time and also sharing his own knowledge about heritage with us. Now, this book is a treasure. The book is about our struggles for freedom and humanity. the conceptualization of Freedom Park and also the construction of Freedom Park. So it's about liberation struggle in all its own facets. So Father Mkacha, I just want to hand over a copy to you.
We are towards the end of this intergenerational dialogue. Now we'll be having a cultural performance by Blended Arts Production. Ke yone group ene go bua ka yone earlier. Se song gape will want to urge you to make yourself at home and be around this space. Ra leboga. Blended Art Production, the floor is yours.